No, like you can't worry about those things, right? The ball's sitting right there, and all those things. This is a business, what we do, man. I know it's fun for you guys to talk about it, but those decisions always be made at the proper time. Those decisions always be made, utilized, whatever's best for the Atlanta Falcons.
Do you expect to be back next year?
My expectations is always to be back, right? And then I'm gonna coach this football team as long as these allows me.
That's Raheem Morris after the Falcons finished the season with their 4th straight win.
It's crazy.
They were 4-1 in prime time. They beat the Saints to end the regular season. They delivered a playoff berth to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it was the first move made Sunday night, not long after we went off the air. The reports, you know how it goes. The reports are out there, and then 5 minutes later, the team announces that both Raheem Morris and GM Terry Fontenot have been fired. Morris was there for 2 years. He was 16 and 18. Fontenot, 5 seasons as the GM. The team went 36 and 48 under his leadership. 8 years, no playoffs. The last time they made it to the postseason was 2017, I believe. Lost to the Eagles in the divisional round.
That's
remember
right.
that?
Yep. Right. Close game down to the end. Nick Foles and then pulled it out.
And this tells me that, look, number one, they've known this is coming. They've had consultants on site.
Yeah.
They've apparently got multiple consulting firms. Matt Ryan is floating around.
Yeah.
And I think this all traces back to, this is the price that is paid for. $100 million fully guaranteed to Kirk Cousins, and then 43 days later, the 8th overall pick in the draft being used on Michael Penix Jr. That didn't work. That was the move. That was criticized at the time. It happened. Where is the vision? Where is the strategy? I guarantee you, if they had hired Bill Belichick to be the head coach 2 years ago, there's no way. Say what you will about Bill Belichick. There's no way he would have spent $100 million fully guaranteed on Kirk Cousins and then the 8th overall pick on a quarterback. They were taking a huge risk, and it didn't work. And this is the price that comes due when you take a risk like that and it doesn't work.
Well, you know my thoughts on that. I mean, damn. I mean, when they did that, I went off for forever. And, I mean, I got a friendship with Raheem Morris, but I went off on it like, what? What are we doing? I mean, how could you do that? I mean, to the point where I was, worried I was so strong. I was like, man, I don't know if Raheem's ever going to talk to me again. But obviously they did that. But I'm with you in that I believe that was the start of the end. That was bad team management, period. Bad. As I said last week, when you have a guy that's the highest paid player on your football team and he's the backup and not playing, there's something wrong with your team. A guy that's making $50 million a year, you can get 7 other players on your football team to round out your football team. Then you draft a quarterback in Michael Penix where, yes, it doesn't look like there was a strategic approach there. It looked like, oh, whoa, he's better than we thought after they signed Kirk Cousins. Let's draft him. We saw him work out. Now we've studied him. Uh-oh. It's like, wait, that stuff should have been done before you signed Kirk Cousins. That's crazy. Then you draft a guy like Michael Penix. It hasn't looked awesome, or you haven't got your return to this point, and you draft a guy that had 3 ACL tears already, and now we have another one. So none of that looks good on Fontenot and Raheem Morris. That looks like poor planning. I think on that, on top of some of their wins this year, and when we saw them play at their best, like the Rams, you went, this is what they're capable of. What the hell happened in the other 7 or 8 games where we didn't look anything like that? And I think that almost hurt them, the fact that they finished strong and started to play at such a high level. That's one where I think the owner can look at it and go, wait, so why couldn't we even come close to replicating that for 2 months of the season? What was the deal there? And I think because of all that, between the quarterback move and the way it looked and the way they played and not playing up to their potential, because they do have some talent in that team, yeah, ultimately that led to the firing there for Raheem Morris.
That was a conversation Devin McCourty and I had last Tuesday morning after the Falcons beat the Rams to finish their primetime schedule for 2025 at 4-1. If you're Arthur Blank, you got to figure out what in the hell the disconnect is. How can they be 4-1 at night and 3-8, eventually 4-8 by day? Why aren't we maximizing our potential? Why aren't we getting more out of Bijan Robinson? Oh, and by the way, Raheem Morris has cost Arthur Blank plenty of money by repeatedly saying Bijan Robinson's the best player in all of football. Bijan Robinson is now eligible for a new contract. And, of course, when Arthur Blank is reminded of the opinions of Raheem Morris, Arthur Blank will probably say he doesn't work here anymore. And maybe that's one of the reasons why he doesn't.
What was your gut going into yesterday? Did you? I didn't
think it would happen so fast.
I didn't think it would happen. I thought maybe they
fast.
finished strong enough. I think maybe he might have saved his job here.
I thought it was still to be determined based upon what they did. I thought Fontenot was in more trouble than Morris because
Yep.
he's been there longer.
Me
Because
too.
Morris kind
Right.
of stepped into the existing structure because they had a decision to make 2 years ago. Do we bring in Bill Belichick, even though he acts like he's not going to try to blow everything up, and take the chance that he will blow everything up, or do we go with the existing structure and fit Raheem Morris into it?
Right.
And so that's what they did, and I thought maybe Morris would. Here we go. Significant organizational changes to the Falcons, including Greg Beatles being elevated from president to president CEO, succeeding Rich McKay. McKay takes on an expanded new role. I don't know what that means, but here's what always happens. They go out of their way to make it look like Rich McKay isn't involved in football while he continues to be involved in football. It's the best gig you can get in all of sports. And look, I like Rich McKay personally, and I respect the hustle here because he has found a way to have no accountability for anything that ever happens with the Falcons and keep rising in influence. And what was it last Monday night? We joked about it, but I'm serious about it. You see the shot, and who's dead center in this giant row that three guys are taking up? You've got Arthur Blank to the right, you've got Terry Fontenot to the left, and here's Rich McKay, who has nothing to do with the football operation, so don't blame him if things don't go well. There it is. Well done, Gary, pulling it up. That's the guy. You would think, if you looked at that picture, who's the owner of the team? Who would you think the owner of the team is, just based on that picture?
The guy with the $3,000 suit on.
No.
Right.
The guy in the middle, because the owner is going to be the one who dresses in an understated way, so you don't know he's the one. So if an assassin shows up, he goes after the one in the expensive suit.
If the assassin goes up, he's going to know who the billionaire is. He's already done his homework. I'm sorry, but listen, I don't know enough there about what Rich McKay does on a day-to-day basis. I definitely have not gotten the sense when I talk to football people down there that he's involved in football stuff. But obviously Arthur Blank and the powers to be there don't look at him to be the problem, and they value what he does. And, I'm a fan of Rich McKay. Of course I am. I've known him for a long time. He drafted me in Tampa, so I like him. And like I said, I've never gotten the sense that he's involved in a lot of this stuff as far as football, but obviously there's something there. I get what you're saying. Either way, Arthur Blank didn't deem it necessary to make a move there. He does it with Raheem Morris, which, yeah, it hurts me. It does. I like Raheem Morris a lot. I respect him so much as a person. He's, I think, an incredible defensive mind. I think also that'd be another part. I'd go, I wish he would have coached the defense. That's what he was there for. I know he had his fingers on it, but I think he could have been more involved in that area as well. And so some mistakes were made, and the record didn't add up to success on the football field, and they made a move.
Okay, and let me just say this.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to start an issue with Rich. I like Rich. Rich's dad's from West Virginia. We have that common connection. We've always gotten along that way, and I think he can respect the fact that I have to have my professional opinions. If Rich is not involved with football, then get off the competition committee, right? Why is he on the competition committee? Why is he the chairman of the most influential body as far as rules making goes for the NFL if he's not involved in football? That makes no sense.
Well, why? I mean, he knows football. He's been around it his whole life. He understands the rules.
But he doesn't have a role in
game.
football with the Atlanta Falcons. How are you
I-
the head of the competition committee if you're not involved in football with your team? My point is he is.
Right.
This is all maneuvering to allow him to escape accountability, and I
But why?
respect it.
Tell me
I
why,
respect
though.
it.
Well,
Because
so
then you
what?
don't get fired.
I know, but so you don't think Arthur Blank and them realize that and go, wait, he's manipulating again? I don't think Arthur's that dumb where he's like,
I think
got
Arthur
fooled
likes
by Rich
it.
McKay,
I think
time
no.
77.
No. I think Arthur Blank is part of the problem here. He's set up a scenario where he doesn't have to hold Rich McKay accountable. But if we're going to be fair, if there's going to be chronic issues, if you got 8 straight years of no playoffs, and Rich McKay's fingerprints are on the team, this isn't just Rich McKay manipulating Arthur Blank. I think Arthur Blank sees value in never having to hold Rich McKay accountable. Now, there's another letter that's come out from Arthur Blank to the fans, and I don't quite know what any of it means, and I'm going to have to break it all down and make sense of it. But there's Greg Beatles is going to be in charge of football, and now Rich McKay is going to be in charge of the other Arthur Blank things. And it's like every year or two there's another explanation how Rich McKay isn't responsible for it. And I hadn't thought about it this way. Again, this isn't like Rich McKay being Jafar and manipulating the emperor. The emperor's in on it. The emperor doesn't want to have to move on from Rich McKay.
Yeah.
And so the emperor insulates Rich McKay, but the tell is he's still the chairman of the competition committee. He's still involved in football. He's just not in the firing line, and they can make someone else the scapegoat. I guess that's what bothers me. Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris are made the scapegoats for something that Rich McKay. You think Rich McKay said, hey, guys, I'm not really in charge of football here. I just, I take care of things for Arthur. I'm on the competition committee. This isn't my gig. If you want to do this Kirk Cousins, Marco Penix thing, that's, I can't tell you what to. There's no way Rich McKay wasn't on board with it. There's no way he wasn't on board with it.
I think he goes on board with them. That's it. He lets them do it. That's what I think. I don't think he got involved in that. I don't think he does.
Well, maybe he stays out of it because he knows if it wrecks, it's not going to be on me.
If they don't need to hire a firm if Rich McKay's there doing that. Rich McKay, I mean, he's obviously been put in a category that is advisory role that Arthur Blank likes. That's all I can speak of. And that's all I really know. And so I'm not going to judge it too much.
No disrespect to the firm that they brought in. Again, I respect the hustle, but I don't like having to bring somebody in from the outside to figure out my business. There's no way any from the outside is ever going to fully understand the nuances and the realities of my business, and their opinions are going to be influenced by what they think the person who retained them wants to hear. That's how it goes.
I hear you.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.